I don't know, no. It's probably a new organization, yeah? Okay. Fine, Yidden. Okay, so we're in the middle of learning. We're continuing to learn. Don't worry about it. Exactly. We're learning about Muhammad's Magog. We had one share on it, and now we continue with a whole new Teisvus Chayis. So is Azay. That Rambam said clearly, and you say this whenever you're discussing Magog is one thing, is what the Rambam says. What did the Rambam say about Magog? No one knows how it's going to be until it will be, and that's the bottom line. So that's just the way it is.
Will we know that that's what it is now?
After Moshiach comes, I think everything's going to be nizbarer, because everything's going to become clear. Looking back, we could study it. Today, a little bit, we're going to go back and see if we could study a little bit of history and see if we could figure some things out in history. But in any event, there's even a shayla, Bas Pash the shayla of when he comes, B'chal, this whole war. Is it a war after Mashiach is here? Or it's a precursor, it comes before Mashiach comes, you have these massive cataclysmic events and wars. So in the Gemara, which we quoted once, the Gemara in the beginning, right in the beginning of Avodah Zarah, it's mashma that it comes after Mashiach comes. So over there it describes that all the Goyim are going to become Gedim when Mashiach comes. And then it says when they see that Mashiach's going to be here, and they're going to want to be Yidden, and they're going to be Mizgayer, and they're not going to accept them, but they're going to become Gedim anyways. And then it says the wars of Magog and Magog are going to happen, and they're going to run away. They're going to rip off their tzitzis and rip off the tefillin. That's what the Gemara says. They're going to throw off the tefillin of the Shoryad, Shorish, and Hashem's going to laugh. Yoshib Hashamayim Yitzchak, that they're not real Gedim, and so on. So over there, it's clearly Hashem Yilaglami. It's clearly Mashma over there. It implies that Magog and Magog happens after Mashiach comes. However, there's another Gemara. In other words, the suffix of the Rambam, the Shaila of how it's going to be before will be, and he says that there's no clear Kabbalah tradition among the sages of Israel. Is very clear, just even from this Pashta Shaila, when it happens. There's a Gemara in Sanhedrin of Tzadik Zayin, which is the sugya where the Gemara discusses when Mashiach's coming, Mechash Kitzim, making the deadline. So over there, the Gemara makes a cheshbon of Mashiach coming in the year Dalit Alofim Reish Tzadik Aleph. Where? Gemara in Sanhedrin of Tzadik Zayin, which is the year 531. I'm sorry.
Who making the cheshbon?
I Gemara. We're going to discuss this Gemara more about it later in the shir. Okay? So the Gemara says what happens after that time. So we're going to see later on that it doesn't mean the case of Mashiach coming. Yeshloimer, it means the case of when Mashiach, the process of Mashiach begins, when it could start coming. So the Gemara there says that after that begins a tkufa mehen milchemes teninim, mehen milchemes Magog Magog, ushar yemais HaMashiach. Begins a tkufa of wars between giant sea monsters, which essentially means wars between different powers warring and factions warring with each other. Followed by Mehen will be years of Melchemes Magog Magog, and the rest is Yemais HaMashiach. And then it says, but Elef HaShvi is a whole new, the year 6000 is a whole new category. Right? So clearly, this is not learning that Magog Magog happens after Mashiach comes, before Mashiach comes. So even the basic shaylas, like that. Last time we spoke about Magog Magog, what it says in the Zohar HaKadosh. Clearly the Zohar is learning, anybody remember which Parsha? Parshas Beshalach. So Parshas Beshalach, the Zohar HaKadosh is clearly learning that it's going to happen after Mashiach comes. So we quoted, it says that all the great villains of Jewish history, all the Rishoyim, the Nebuchadnezzar and Sancheriv and Andriyanus. Partially, these are simple examples that the Zohar itself are going to have Tchias HaMesim. They're going to get back all their shlit, all their power, and we're going to have the final battle between good and evil in the flesh, his galus, in the words of the Zohar HaKadosh. So that's clearly a miraculous, phenomenal, gewaldige event, which is going to clearly after Mashiach comes. However, in many places, it's spoken about how before Mashiach comes, that it's going to happen before Mashiach comes, and many people connected that it's connected with the concept of Chevli Mashiach. Chevli Mashiach. Chevli Mashiach means the trials and tribulations, the like the birth pangs, like a woman giving birth. So this is a pregnancy, and we're giving birth to the Gula, and therefore there's something called Chevli Mashiach. The Friedrich many times referred to the Holocaust as Chevli Mashiach, the Tzadis and so on. That in order to have a drastic new world order, there's got to be pain. There's got to be pain. And that's what the pain represents. That's what the Chevli Mashiach is. And we already brought from the Kabbalah, in the Shem Yishmuel, Merabiseinu Agdoishim, that the Arichas Hagalos could take the place of the Tzaris. In other words, since the whole concept of the Tzaris, the whole concept of the Muhammad's Magog Magog is really that in order to have a tremendous change, you need blood. In order to have a revolution, in order to have a fundamental change in humanity, you need to have. So he says, Heravart, so for the same price that you can have Arichas Hazman, a long time can accomplish the same thing as that. Is if it's coming and you want to just change society. Stalin wanted to change Russia fundamentally, so you had to kill 30 million people. You had to make, and the Taki changed Russia. That's how you change our society. The reality is, though, that Arichas Hazman is a Kabbalah and Abisenu Agdeshim based on a Medrash that the Arichas Hagalos were already potter from this concept, this cataclysmic event, Magog Magog.
So what, they were already potter?
That we're potter. He brings the Medrash that he quotes is that it says by Golos Mitzrayim that we're supposed to be there for 400 years. The Gemara says that 210 years. Why only 210 years? Because the Koishi Hashubah, it was so difficult that it was equivalent of 400 years.
Made up
But what do we see from there? We see that the reverse could happen as well. That Arichis is the same thing as Koishi. So if we've been in Golos for 1900 years, that the reverse mathematics, that's the vart that he writes, and it's brought down. It's a famous thing. Many people quote it in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, the Shem is Shmuel, but it's brought down in many spotim. I never saw it explicitly in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. They always bring Rabbi Seinu Agdoshim, but people say it's in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. So Stam, it's in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Okay. Kopanim, this concept that all the tzaddis is a preparation and preparing us for the Gula is a famous Gemara in Sanhedrin of Tzadik Zayin. The Gemara says, Tanad Ve'eliyo, Shis Alfishnin the Havi Alma. Chassidus quotes this 1,000,000 times. 6,000 years the world's going to exist. Beis Alafim Toida, the first Beis Alafim Toyu, the first 2,000 is the world, a time of chaos. Until Avraham Avinu was born in the year 1948, and then when Avraham Avinu was 52 years old, is when he begins the tkufa of Torah, like the Gemara gets into and Taisus gets into. But that's the first 2000 was chaos. Begins the tkufa of Beis Alafim Torah. Now it's interesting. The Beis Alafim Torah finishes Kuf Ayin Beis Shana Achar HaChurban Bayis Sheni, 172 years after the Churban of Bayis Sheni. Okay, so this is a few years after Rabbeinu Hakadosh passes away. So in other words, the chesima of Mishnayis, of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, that would be the chesima of the Beis Alafim Torah. Finishes the Gemara and says, Tanad Eliyahu, he says that Beis Alafim Yemois HaMashiach. Yemois HaMashiach. What do we mean? Since when is Yemois HaMashiach? Since when did that begin? 1,800 years ago. The last 2,000 years. So, in the words of the Maharsha, Misham Ve'elich, from then on, Mitoich Golus, V'Hatzaris, B'chol Oisi Asman, from the Golus and the Tzaris of all that time, Roi Lavi Mashiach. Mashiach is a Roi. When it means Yemais HaMashiach, means Mashiach could come, it's a Roi to come. V'Yemei Chevlei Mashiach Mikri. He says these are called, starting from 172 years after the Churban, it's called Yemei Chevlei Mashiach Mikri. Chevlei Mashiach began, and it's been going on for a while. And the Gemara, unfortunately, the Gemara concludes with the following words. It says, U'ba'veinei seinu sherabu, and from our sins, which are many, yotzu mehem masha yotzu. We lost out on the years that passed, and we could have had Mashiach, the Gemara says. And what could we say now? Who knows how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, 1,600 years after that, and we're still sitting in Golus, 1,950 years after the Churban Bayis Sheni. Chman al-Islam. Fine. Now, in many places in Chazal, there's eitzis, how to be saved from Chevli Mashiach. It's a concept out there. The Gemara we brought last week last time we spoke about this from the Zoyar. I always quoted Chassidus, the Hay Chibur Dilach, the Sefer HaZoyar, Yipkum Beimim Galusa Berachame, with this book of Zoyar, you're going to leave Galus Berachame with Rachmanis in a compassionate and beautiful way. And then Masech Shabbos, when it talks about the Shal Shudis, it says whoever's Nizar and Shal Shudis will be Nitzel from Chevli Mashiach. And there's also a Gemara in Sanhedrin, also over here, Ula, Amar Ula, Yesi v'leich mine, let Mashiach come, but I don't want to see him. Right? V'chein Amar Rava, Yesi v'leich mine. Why? Because the Chevli Mashiach, they heard how much tzadis it's going to involve for Mashiach to come, and they didn't want to have to live through that kind of experience. And if Yosef Amar, Yesi v'ezkei, let him come, and I want to be Zoiche, the Esif Betula, the Kufisa, the Chamare, to sit in the shade of the fertilizer of his chamor. That's what he says. It's very and he says, and with Torah and Gemilas Chasadim, you could be nitzel. Right? In other words, it's not for sure your life's going to be over. With Torah, there's ways of protection, and so on. And other people were afraid that they have sins. This guy was sure that Rabbi Yosef was sure that he'll be able to save himself through Torah and Gemilas Chasadim. Keep in mind, by the way, remember we mentioned before that if Moshiach comes, now that we had Arichas HaGolus, we don't necessarily have to have such trials and tribulations. The tzadis of the Golus and the Meshach HaGolus and the transformation of Golus accomplished that for us. But if Moshiach would have come then, in the times of Rav and Rabbi Yosef, it could be then, it would have been a traumatic experience to turn all the pagan nations into true believers and to change them fundamentally and emotionally and psychologically. That is unbelievable change, and it's even Meduyik in his words. He says, "Let me be zeicha. I'll be zeicha. I'll sit in the shade of his donkey." Remember what the Gemara says, that if the Yidden are zachu anani shmaya, the Mashiach's going to come on clouds. If they're loy zachu, he's going to come on a donkey. So if Mashiach's coming on a donkey, then you have to be a little bit afraid, because it means we're going to need to have tremendous chevli Mashiach in order for Mashiach to come. And in conclusion, Lagabi, this word that there, even according to Chazal, there's eitzes to be saved from the Chevli Mashiach, from all the tzadis. There's it says in Daniel, that Rebbe quoted this pasuk 100 times, so many times, whenever he was talking about the mitzvah of Isis and Sefer Torah, that every child should have a letter, buy a letter in the Sefer Torah. Rebbe quoted one of the Makaitis for the Bechlal, the whole Mecham of Gegel Magog is of Daniel Perek Yud Beis. Right? The main Makaitis are the Nevuah of Zechariah and the Nevuah of Yecheskel, which both of them we read on Sukkos. But there's smaller Nevuahs also. There's a Nevuah from Yoel, and then there's a Nevuah in Daniel. And in Daniel it says, Ba'es hahi, in that time, Ba'hoisa eis tzara asher loy nihi asa. It's going to be an eis tzara like there never was before. Miyois hagoy ad hoisa, from when the Yidden were a goy until that time. And then Zok Daniel, Uba'es hahi yimaleit amcha kol hanimtza kosev v'sefer. How many times did we hear the Rebbe say those words? Yimaleit amcha kol hanimtza, who will be saved, your nation, whoever is found written in the Sefer. And that's referring, the Rebbe says it's referring to that you have to make sure that every Yid has a letter to the Sefer Torah, because whoever has a letter to the Sefer Torah is going to be saved. Yimaleit amcha, you'll be saved. Kol hanimtza kosev b'sefer, whoever has a letter in the Sefer Torah of Klal Yisrael. Okay, but now that we said it doesn't have to mamish happen, and a future time we'll discuss the actual war. But Lemaisa, now that we discussed that it doesn't have to happen k'pshute, it's about a change in society. It's a change in it's a ruchniistic in a kuda. It's about a change of world attitude and relationship with Hashem. We have to discuss a little bit. What is the klipa of Gog Magog? What is this mochama of Gog Magog? What's this battle between? What's punkt the mochama? Okay, so the hint to that it's discussed befedish and chassidus. But the hint to it would be found in the fact that the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, the Gemara says that the Eibishter wanted to make Chizkiah Mashiach and Sancheriv Gog Magog. As er steht, Gemara Mefreshes, Sanhedrin. Gog is the king and Magog is his nation, the people. Yeah, that's the concept of Gog Magog. But the Eibishter wanted to make Sancheriv Gog and with his army and Chizkiah Mashiach. But Pearl, we weren't zeicha because Chizkiah didn't say Shira, a story in the Gemara. But we see that the Tzemach Tzedek Zokt and HaTorah, we see that what's the klipa? What is the klipa of Gog Magog? It's the same klipa as Sancheriv. Same word as Sancheriv. Okay. So now the Rebbe has a very famous sikha in Chelek Chaf Aleph, where the Rebbe talks about that three levels of klipa b'chlal. Three levels of Ra. The Rebbe speaks about the klipa of Bilam, Parei and Sancheriv. Divas Kenan, the Sikha, the Sikha Parshas Va'eda, Chelek Chaf Aleph, about frogs, about the Makkah of frogs. Anyways, the Kudish of it's Bilam, Parei, Sancheriv. These are the three klippas. And the Rebbe's Masber that Bilam is somebody who knows. He says, Le'ucha lavris pi Hashem. I can't rebel against Hashem. These are the Goyim's recognition that their chayis comes from the Eibishter. Right, that their kiyum comes from the Eibishter. Basically, essentially, what it means, it's the concept of shituf. Shituf. Goyim are allowed to believe. The belief that Goyim are not allowed to have, they can't believe Ozav Avayis Haaretz, that the Eibishter is not actively running the world. They have to believe Hashem runs the world. However, they're able to believe that Hashem partners with the world in the sense that it's creation of Hashem and it's dependent upon Hashem. However, Hashem said that I'm going to work through nature, right? And therefore, nature plays a critical role. If nature doesn't do this, then it's not going to happen, right? Nature is very critical and vital, right? The concept of shituf, you may have heard of it. Okay. Pare is an Ovid Avodah Zarah K'pshutei. Yidden, on the other hand, just to be clear, we don't believe in any power outside of the Eibishter whatsoever. In fact, even working, we don't believe that it's like an neshama in a guf, that the Eibishter makes us shitfus with our work and gives us money. No. The only thing is the Eibishter. Now, but then, the Eibishter gave a mitzvah to work. The Eibishter said, I want it to go through levushei hateva. I want to work through nature. It's a mitzvah like any other mitzvah. So how does it done? You're going to Shem Yichud Kuchabrichu Shchinte to work. And this says the work alein bitzad atzma is a keli. There's no keli in work, b'chlal. Goyim are not mechuyev to believe such a belief. Okay, and andere Werte as goy. And andere Werte as zoy. A goy would say like this, that if your store is open on Shabbos, the Eibishter is not going to send you customers. That's shituf. Because he thinks you have a store, the Eibishter is a shitfus with you, so he's not going to send you customers. If your store is open on Shabbos, you don't have a store b'chlal. I don't know what you have. It's like trying to catch water instead of a bucket. You're trying to catch it with a net. Hastishkin business b'chlal. Why do you decide that it's a business b'chlal? The only reason why it's a keli in the first place is because the Eibishter told you to make it. The moment you're not following the Eibishter, it's a hastishkin business. It's not a business b'chlal. Anyways, it's about in Chassidus, spoken about in 1.5 million places. The difference of shituf and Yidden. But this is a matter. Goyim aren't mechuyev to believe in the same level that Yidden are. Shema Yisrael Havaya Echad. Only Yidden are mechuyev to believe in this high madrega of Yichud Achdus Hashem Echad. Akopanim, this is the klippe of Bilam. They're not getting invited to Pare. Pare says Lo Yadaiti Havaya. In under the Verter. Even though the Zara, the Gemara says in Menachos, they believe in God. They call him the God of the gods. Norvaden. They don't think that he runs the world. They don't think that he's involved in the world. He exists. He can mix in. If you tell a guy your store's open, if you keep your store open on Shabbos, Hashem's going to send a fire and burn your store down. What's that? That's Avodah Zarah. Because you have a business, everything's running, but the Eibishter is an outside force going to come fight with you. That's pure Avodah Zarah, right? So this is the clip of Pare believes in the Eibishter. It's stronger than him, but he thinks that it's not totally, it's not dependent on Hashem. Li yo'eri v'ani asisini. The yo'er is mine. I made myself. It's like an Eved who's mightier than his master. He knows that his master is stronger than him. The servant knows the master is stronger than him, can beat him up. But he's not. I'm not born from the master. I have my own parents. This guy is stronger than me. He's in charge, right? But he's an Eved Zara. That's Pare. He's living his own life. Then noch Sanchedev is Chedev v'gidev klapim ma'ila. Blasphemy. He denies the existence of God. Sanchedev is a whole new klippa that didn't exist. And he says, those are the words. He doesn't believe that Hashem is the God of the gods. That's the clip of Sanchedev. In Or HaTeira, where he's masbir the clip of Sanchedev, and he brings it to Magog Magog, he says, Hine Sanchedev Melech Asher was a mighty than Amitius Achdusi Yisbarach B'Yoyser Mikol Oivdei Kechavim Mazolis, more than any of the other idol worshippers. He lifted up his heart and he says, I ride to the Shamayim, and he denies Hashem. And he says, this never existed till Sanchedev, and he says, this is the same Inyan as Magog Magog. Because it says about Magog Magog in the second capital in Tehillim, they all get together and scheme and plot al Hashem the al Mashiach, against Hashem al Mashiach. Amar le'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter tells him, Rasha, li basel is Davi, you're coming to mess with me. Chayecha shani oiseh imcha, I'm going to be the one fighting Muhammad with you. Im tagbia kanesh, if you go up like an eagle, I'm going to, fine. And then there's another place in Or HaTeira where he speaks about it. Maybe we'll get into it. Vart is azay. That's it's miyus. It's a medrash which describes the difference of the klippa of. It's a medrash. Of course, the medrash will say it in a different style of Chassidus. But the Medrash says it's actually a Medrash that I saw today in Medrash on Megillah Esther. So it's exactly timely. It's mangram. So it says Arudim Heim Harishayim writes over there. The Rishayim are Arudim. Kol echad yoyetz lefi darkei. Everyone comes up with their own eitzah against the Yidden. Cain came against Hevel. He made the cheshbon. I'm going to kill Hevel, and I'm going to be Yodesh the world. I'll inherit the earth. Right? What ended up happening? He didn't realize that his father's still alive. He could have more kids, so he didn't inherit nothing. Shes became the progeny. Esav to Yaakov. He thought, I'm going to wait to kill my brother after my father's dead. I'm not going to make the mistake of Cain and Hevel, who his father could still have more kids. I'm going to wait to kill him after the father's dead. Problem is, why can't I have kids when your father's still alive? So that they're going to tell him, it's not going to help you. You're killing him after your father's dead, but he'll have kids in your father's lifetime. And therefore, you're still not going to be able to get rid of him. Pari came to the Yidden and he said, I'm going to kill them with their babies. But he left in the caves, he left the females. Haman said the following words. Haman said, Pari shaita haya. Zak the Medrash. He says, Pari was a shaita. V'gazer lahashmedu la'abed. He said, I'm going to annihilate everybody. Why? Men, women, and children. Why are you leaving anything? What's the cheshbon b'chal, he says. Totally shaita, a fool. Then the Medrash, V'av geigu magig lasid lave. So to geigu magig asid loymar shaitim hayu harishainim. He's going to say, Shaitim hayu harishainim. All the previous enemies were shaitim, were idiots. Shaimis asking be'etzis al Yisrael. They were all busy coming up with etzis al Yisrael. V'loy hayu yoidim sheyesh lem patrim b'shamayim. They didn't know that they have a patrim b'shamayim. They have a patron. They have someone running the show, the one who's taking care of them. Ani eini oisikein. Ella hareini mizdavig in patroinon tchila. I'm going to go fight with patroinon. Then I'll fight with them. This is what it says in the pasuk. I'm going to fight with you personally. So now, it's interesting. Before we discuss that a drop more in a split second, in the Ha'adis, the Rebbe adds that there's a fourth klippah. There's Bilam, there's Pareh, there's Sancheiriv, and then the Rebbe adds that in Tanya Perach Dalit he talks about a clip of Aniva Afsi Oid, which seems to be even worse than Sancheiriv. You're not just denying Hashem. You're saying Einoid Movadei, not Einoid of the Eivishter Movadei, Ein Movadei from you. Aniva Afsi Oid. That's a very interesting clip. The Rebbe says, what's the clip of Aniva Afsi Oid? And the Rebbe says maybe b'doichak it's similar to Sancheiriv. So I would say in general society nowadays, Sancheiriv actually leads to this madrege of Aniva Afsiyoid. They ask a savage, they say, what's good? I'm sorry, what's evil? What's evil in the world? He says, when the next door villager comes to my house and he steals my wife and he beats up and he leaves everyone bloody and steals all the possessions and kills the cows. So he says, and what's good? What's good in the world? He says, when I go to his house, I steal his wife, I beat up every household member, I take all his possessions and I kill his cows. Right? The definition of good and evil is what is very interesting. In Heintek Keteg, society works like that. That what's the definition of good? What I feel like. And what makes me feel good. And what's the definition of evil? Not what's evil. What's the definition of evil? Someone trying to tell me to suppress myself. Telling you to change? You're telling me to change? To not be exactly how I feel? And do everything that exactly the way I want it? That's a shame. That's the definition of evil, right? It's something else. So the word is, if Ranas HaKlippa. Now, Azai. We're running out of time. That's the problem. Okay. So head of word. I want to show you how history. I want to show you how history has all of these klippas. All these klippas are come together in history. We went through all of them. Behektem azoi. Okay. In the Gemara, Itaka makes interesting predictions in the Gemara about Moshiach. So there's a Gemara which says, it says the following: Amar le Eliyahu le Rabbi Yehuda achua de Rav Salach Sida. Eliyahu told Rabbi Yehuda, the brother of Rav Salach Sida, Ein ha'elam pachis mipei ha'yevlis. The world is not going to be less than 85 yevlis from the creation. Va'yevel ha'achrein ben David ba. The last yevel ben David ba.
How many thousand years?
So if you make the cheshbon in English, it's from the year. The yevel is from 440 to 490. I don't know if people know English over here. The English years, about 1,500 years ago. Okay? This is when the Pei Hayevlis are over. Okay? From the creation of the world. Amar le betchilase b'seife. Head of art. He asked him from the beginning of the Yevel, the end of the Yevel. Eliyahu said, "Eini yedei, chveis nicht." He says, "Eini yedei, I don't know. Is it going to be the beginning of the Yevel, 440 or 490?" He said back, "I don't know." So he told him, Kala or Eine Kala? What's the question of Kala or Eine Kala? It's going to finish. It's not going to finish. That's what the translation literally. Zok the Marsha, the question was, Kala dahainu b'soifihu ba v'lo yisakev yoiser. Does it mean that at the end of that Mashiach will be here and there's no more hisakvus, no more delay? Oy eine ba dafke k'shakol hazman ahu eladem eises man ve'elach zman ilavei. Is it just that from then we should start waiting for Mashiach? It's a new madrege of that now you should be chakele, you should be waiting for Mashiach to come. So, good question. Kanida, maybe you need an extra special schus then, but now it's a madrege. Now we're ready. We're mamish there. Amarle, what's Eliyahu respond? Eini yedeya. Good question. Does it mean Mashiach's going to come by then, or it means to start waiting then? Rav Ashi says, no. He answered him. In other words, till then, don't wait for him. Don't anticipate Mashiach coming. After that, start anticipating. In other words, take. That's when the Tkuf of Mashiach begins. So now it's very interesting because in a way, it's very the whole world changed in that Yovel. We know the Roman Empire existed for almost 800 years, the most powerful empire in the world history. Kamat. I don't know.
How many years was the Chashverosh?
In the year 476, which is towards the end of this Yovel, the Roman Empire, the last emperor, was destroyed by the Germanic tribes of Europe, and it was overthrown. And it began a tkufa soon thereafter called the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, which lasted for 1,000 years until the modern era, which rose from that period of such crazy ignorance. You have to realize the world was much more advanced before this period of 1,000 years. All knowledge basically Kemat went away. People took all the roads that Rome built over an entire empire and used it to build their little shacks and houses, and all the sewer systems were lost. I mean, and the Yidden were learning Torah, but the world was regressed to an unbelievable degree. And it's actually 476, and then to beat the last governors of Rome happened in the year 486. So Mamish at the end of this Yovel, so it's very interesting. It's very interesting because look, the Gemara goes on with a different Gemara. It says like this: Shalach leid Rav Chanan bar Tachlifa le Rabbi Yosef. Rav Chanan, the son of Tachlifa, sent to Rabbi Yosef. He says, I found a guy, Matzasi Adam Echad, ubiyadi Megillah, who had a scroll, Ksub Ashuris V'Lashon HaKodesh, written in Ashuris, an ancient text. I told him, where do you get this from? I was hired in the legions of Rome. There's a concept always in the Gemara of Gin Zayraimi. Some people say it means the Vatican. He said, Ben Gin Zayraimi, I found this ksab. What did it say? It said that after 4,000 Reish Tzadik Aleph Shana L'Briyaseh Shalaylam, okay, the year 531, Ha'elam Yitain, the world will end. Mehen, after that begins the Tkufa of Melchames Taninim, wars between, like sea monsters, Taninim is wars, and the Mehem Ochem is Magog Magog. Ushar Yemei Samashiach. Ve'ein HaKadosh Baruch, and the rest is Yemei Samashiach. Ve'ein HaKadosh Baruch Mechadish Yom. Hashem does not renew His world only after Zayin Alaf Shana, only after the sixth millennia is over. Rav Acha Breider Rava Amar no, La'achar Hey Alaf Shana Itmar. That you're supposed to read from the year 1531, not 531, 1531. Is when the tkufa of
Destruction or the renewal?
of when the world ends and then begins Mochames Taninim and then Mochames Magog Magog Mistame. Head of vert though. Head of vert. I want to suggest the following. There's not enough time for us to get through the history, but we'll continue another time. Aber the Ma'is is Azoy. First of all, we see clearly the three klippos is towards the end of the Roman Empire, followed by the klippah of Shutfis, of Christianity completely and totally dominating society, culture, civilization. Everyone was totally obsessed with God and talking about Him, and it was a war between Yeshus and Gaiva, whether Bittul to Hashem or Bittul or Gashmias, and followed by a tkuf after that of the klippah of Sancheriv, of the Enlightenment. And Mamash, what the Gemara says, that there's three tkufas: the Ha'ilam Yitaim, followed by Mochames Taninim, followed by Mochames Magog Magog, and then comes Yemei Mashiach. It's hard to say al degal achas, but we'll begin it and then after Mamshech Zayin and get into other inyanim next time. The reality is like this: that the first kufa of Yiddishkeit for the first 1500 years, 1600 years was the world was a pagan world. Pagan world. Yeah, you could go Museum of Natural History, check it out. You'll see what was going on in the world those days. Sugar. And Yidden were wilde chayes, sick people, being makriv their children. It was crazy. And the Yidden, not only were they moral and keeping Torah mitzvahs, they had rocks in every city to announce Hashavas Haveda. You understand what's happening here? A whole different. That's why the Gemara says that whenever Goyim came to Eretz Yisrael, they became Gadim, because they never saw anything like it. Normal people, no one's killing each other. The Fritzich, it's a whole different world. You're not only not stealing, you're doing Hashavas Haveda. It's a different parsha. Akapanim bus. What do we see? That the hashpa in the world was in such a way that they felt they were so gashmistic, they were so megushim. Avodah Zarah means you need everything to be tangible. They bow down to Avodah Zarah, that they didn't even have to fight, so to speak, with the emunis of Yidden. The Yidden weren't having a hashpa so much in the Welt as it looked bechitzonius. It goes back to the explanation of the klippa of Parei. I didn't fully explain what the Rebbe says in the Sikha. The Rebbe says that in a way, Parei is the worst klippa. The Rebbe learns in that Sikha, frogs, Parei. The Rebbe says it's the worst klippa. Why? Because it's the only klippa who doesn't care about Hashem. He says, even Sancheiriv, the Rebbe says, the fact that he has to fight against Hashem and deny Hashem means that the Eibusher had him ungerir. Hashem touched him. What are you fighting so much? What are you... It's out there. Right? And of course, someone who believes in Shittif, the Eibusher mamish art them. The Rebbe says, Parei, alikad alikaya. You exist, I exist. You live your life, I live my life, stay out of my life, and gesundheit and freiligkeit. He doesn't, the Eibush is not oile becheshben. Meaning it's not something he has to deal with, b'chlal. He doesn't have to deal with his reality. And very much you could define the pagan world that way in their relationship to the emunas. They didn't have to fight with our emunas, with whether you should be in ganzen is battle to Hashem. Your whole reason they created, people say we're creating God's image, they created their gods in their image. Right? That their gods are stealing and being mizana, and that's their whole mitzvahs. That was the whole nekudah of Goyim then. And that was the first klippah. And we dealt with that. Then came the second kuf of the world, which the world became entirely Christian and obsessed with God, and they had to fight with these ideas of Yiddishkeit. The ideas of being bottled, of doing goodness and kindness, of trying to do something not for yourself, of trying to live for someone else. All these concepts. But yet it was a constant war. And this was that tkufa, and begashmius, it ended up being a very dark tkufa b'payil, but just like a seed has to rot in order to create a new society. The world was going; they left everything behind. It had to completely move away from paganism, and they had to go through in order to create a new culture where Hashem is part of the cheshbon. They have to go through this tkufa, and then the Gemara says you're followed by a tkufa. That's the klippa of Shituf, the klippa of Bilam, and follow the Gemara says. Mehen Taninim, Umehen Gog Magog, and then you may some Moshiach. What's Gog Magog? Gog Magog is the clip of Sancheiriv, it says in Chassidus, and we're going to discuss it more next time. The Rebbe spoke how France is Sancheiriv, and the Rebbe had a whole Sikh Parsh Vayeshev, and we finally beat the clip of Sancheiriv. This is and there's much more things to speak about. But the vart is, though, and we'll conclude with this, is that the final klippa is the klippa of Sancheiriv, which is there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. You have to deal with God. The Eibusher at them ungedir, right? That the Eibusher touched the world, and there's no turning the wheel back on that. The vart is that mefirta mochama kegen the Eibusher, and mefirta mochama, and it's chiduf v'kiduf kadem ma'ila. People are being machish the Eibusher. They're fighting. They don't want the Eibusher. The clip of enlightenment, the clip of the thing which really began in the 1530s. Got the punk when the Gemara zogt. As we'll get to next time. I'm going to conclude with this Gemara, where the Gemara says, if I can find it, the Gemara says, the Gemara says that they came with a massive army, Sancheiriv, against Yerushalayim, and it says the same amount of people, v'chein bo al Avram, the war of Avram Avinu, v'chein asidin lavayim Gog Magog. It's the same war, Gog Magog as Sancheiriv, that they're going to come with the same army. And then the Gemara says, b'masnita tanu, we learned in a Braisa, how big was the army of Sancheiriv? Sach machaneu, reish samech ribuy alafim chaser chad. It was 260 ribuy alafim. How much is that? That's 2.6 billion. He says that 2.6 billion people, minus one. Abaye says, what do you mean minus one? Minus 1 10,000 or minus 1,000 or minus 100 or minus 1? Teiku. Right, that's the Gemara. Okay. Stam, interessant to think about that if what we're saying that the Western culture and civilization is the clip of Sancheiriv, which is the final Muhammad that the Gemara talks about, it's interesting to note that first of all, the world only reached that kind of population Lamaisa recently. 1950, it actually reached that. The world population was 2.6 billion. But if you take the world today and you put together all the westernized countries, I think you make a cheshbon, you come up to le'erich that amount of people. Yeah. No, so I'm saying Azai is it's not our derech and shiurim to do this, but every once in a while in life you have to have a little fun. The vart is that it says in many places in my Gemara, the Rebbe says in Sichos that the neshamis of earlier generations were neshamis kloliyos b'chlal. That's why the tragedy is. That's why we only do Tainesim, we only make Tisha B'av, we only do Inyanim from earlier datas, because every neshama then was like a billion neshamas. Anything happens now, the Rebbe says, even the Holocaust, the Rebbe says, it doesn't compare because every neshama then was like a million neshamas. Right? So it's a very similar concept over here. The Gemara itself, a few lines earlier, said how many people in Maisa were there by Sancheiriv. It was a few 100,000, 185,000, cavalry, and this. The Gemara is referring, the Eibusha wanted to make that Sancheiriv, because they were the clip of Sancheiriv, like the Aratayt that the Samach Tzedek says, there was never such a clip in the world like this. It was different than all the other Eiv Chav Mazalis. And if you take the world today, if you look around, just a quick measurement, the Americans and the Caribbean, that whole area is 1 billion people. Europe is 800 million people. Oceania, Australia, and thus is another 40 million people. And then we're only missing about 800 million people, but Asia has 4.5 billion people. So Yesh Leimar, that if you take Japan, some say no, but China is not a westernized country, but there's enough people in China, there's enough people in us, you can make a Rachaz HaCheshbon. But this is all the Shem Atis Mitzvah. The Kud is, the word is that we should be Zeich, the Gula Mitzvah Shleima, the Karib Mamish, and we'll Dida Notzach, and to be continued.